And finally tonight, it's music that has echoed through a century of Canadian history in logging shanties and dance halls in the Ottawa Valley. Mark Carcasol takes us there to meet some Valley legends who are doing all they can to preserve a unique musical culture.
I'm a jolly good fellow, Pat Gregg is my name. I came from the Chapeau, that village of fame, for singing and dancing and all other fun. The boys from the Chapeau cannot be outdone.
If you've never visited the Ottawa Valley, you're missing a rockin' good time. The valley runs between Ontario and Quebec. It's a land that's rugged, rural, and wild. The heartbeat of this place is its music. Melodies lilt along, ever drawing you in. It's a style all its own. This might be the last place in North America where you'll still find old-time folkloric music. Some might say this is a place that never sold out. Back in the 50s, the dance hall scene was the place to party in the Ottawa Valley. For a quarter, you could hear local stars like Mac Beatty, Ward Allen, or these guys, Art and Guy Jamieson.
There's a slice of life in the Ottawa Valley.
They're local music stars and guardians of Ottawa Valley music. Today they've decided to go on a bit of an archaeological dig. At first, they find this.
Look at the old Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Thank God almighty. Dancing, Royal Pines, every Friday. Oh my God, look at our Jameson Orchestra.
Yeah.
Oh, dollar.
Yeah,
inflation has taken over.
You were always more expensive than the rest anyway.
Oh my God. We're talking 50 years ago.
Art and Guy have come to visit an old dance hall, the last one still standing. They're hoping the owner, 96 years old, will let them have a look inside. She still lives next door. Grace Marchant is happy to have two of her performers back in this old hall. She closed 40 years ago.
Doors are open. Bring your 25 cents.
Grace moved to the valley as a young woman. She fell in love with a local guy, and together they built the Royal Pines.
Well, I think it was around 1955, maybe. It was just an interest he had and wanted to do it. But I went along with it fine.
Grace and her husband's life together was filled with music, local bands, or orchestras as they were called back in the day.
There's something, too, about the music of the country people here that has a real lift to it.
Grace ran a snack bar out of the house, while her husband made sure nothing got out of hand in the dance hall.
Girls on one side, boys on the other. And the guys would finally get up enough nerve to go over and ask this girl, no. Next one, no.
Close to 50 years ago since I stood on the stage, picking and grinning. See how things look?
This place brings back memories for the musicians and this former dance hall matriarch.
It was a nice life, and we met a lot of great people.
Yeah.
The Jamieson brothers that are here, they had an orchestra here many times, and of course they're still going strong. When there's music in you, you know, it'll come out as long as you live. And it's wonderful.
When Grace Marchant's husband died suddenly in 1974, she didn't want to run the hall alone. She closed it up forever. Before Art and Guy leave the Royal Pines today, they get out their gear to relive a night at the old dance hall.
Your partner corner the grass, all join hands, away to the left, away to the left, all the way round.
The songs flow just like yesterday. But with no one to dance, you can only play so long.
That's it all.
The dance halls may have died out, but the music wasn't going to just go away. You can still find it in some unusual places. Welcome to the Black Donald Hunt Camp. This is the ultimate man cave. The beer flows, guys hunt all day and play music all night, and 4 kilometers into the bush, there are no neighbors to complain about the noise. Once the guys get going, there's no stopping them. They play old-time Ottawa Valley fiddle classics and 50s songs from the dance hall days. This one, This Ottawa Valley of Mine by Mac Beatty, is a popular one.
I'm gathering around me, pay good attention.
Forget Boys in the Hood. This is Boys in the Wood. And this tradition in the valley goes all the way back to the 19th century logging shanties.
Joe Humphrey, Bob Orm, Ned Murphy and I, we packed up our duds on the 11th of July.
The sound was more stripped down. No fiddles, no guitars, no harmonicas. Songs were made up and sung a cappella.
On Saturday nights, the men were allowed to stay up an hour later, and that's when they could relax and sing.
Sheldon is a historian at the Canadian Museum of History in Gatineau, Quebec.
When you came back from a lumber camp, we're back sort of in the bosom of your family, the first question was, what song did you learn?
The most famous song was the Chapeau Boys, a 13-verse tale about a group of chapeau men who head into the bush to log.
Haying being over, we packed up our duds, shouldered our turkey and off to the woods.
In an ordinary situation in a kitchen, in a living room, in the bar, if somebody's called for the Chapeau Boys, then everybody had to put it together. Everybody knew a little bit. A song, a line here, a verse there. It was truly a communal song.
Immortalized in song, the Chapeau Boys were like the Beatles of the Ottawa Valley.
The men who could sing the song were Brian Adam, who had grown up and made it his business to know that song.
For singing and dancing and all sorts of fun, sure the boys from the Chapeau, they can't be outdone.
I very quickly recognized if someone younger didn't learn the songs, they'd be gone.
Brian Adam learned from Chapeau's elders, men who had toiled in the lumber camps and sang to keep spirits up. The songs were diaries, spun into a melody.
It was also important to remember that it was a story, and it had to be told, and it was told in song. Not only do we want to celebrate the singer, who may very well have passed on, but we want to celebrate the song and prevent it from dying.
And this has become essentially your main mission now.
Well, I'm looking at my children and my grandchildren and wondering who will be the guardian of this kind of music.
How important is it to you?
Vital. Once it has passed into history and we'll have no idea what the story really was or how the music sounded.
And straightway to Pembroke our luggage did take, where we boarded the Empress and sailed up the lake.
Dearest madam, I'm a soldier boy. My speech is rough and plain.
Sheldon Posen left his hometown, Toronto, in the 70s, looking for original Canadian folk. His quest brought him to the Ottawa Valley and Chapeau, a tiny hamlet known as a party place.
The Ottawa Valley in the 1970s was a, I don't want to say a living museum. It was one of the last places in North America where the old-time singing existed.
Singers swapped tunes anywhere and everywhere. The local hotel bars, someone's front porch, or around the kitchen table.
Somebody would say, give us a song, and they would start to sing right there to you.
Sheldon documented it all for his history PhD and a book. His hundreds of Chapeau field recordings are archived in the History Museum.
I've been hearing it as long as I can remember, this notion that Canada has a great crisis of culture. And I've always thought, well, it's there, but nobody really ever catches it.
Mike Houston, also known by his stage name Lonesome Lefty, collects old Ottawa Valley vinyl.
There's no attempt to imitate any American twang. Their accents sound like Ottawa Valley accents. Everything about it is distinctly Canadian. Even the cover art of all these Canadian fiddle music, it really looked like this kind of postcard Canadiana, Mounties and Moose.
Even the names of some of the albums, too.
Yeah, Maple Leaf Hoedown and all these kind of things where you said, okay, they were aware of what they were doing.
A lot of these records are no longer in print. They're artifacts of a bygone era. In this digital age, music that only exists on vinyl is at risk of extinction, and Mike's not going to let that happen. Mike is copying these old recordings to his computer, creating a digital archive so these songs can live on.
You do what you can to see that it's passed on, and then nobody can say that, that it wasn't there.
Here we go,
In Pembroke, the beat goes on. For nearly 40 summers, music has filled this town during Fiddle Week. A younger crowd comes to celebrate the music and dancing of their elders. It's a glimmer of hope that Ottawa Valley music might be in for a revival. But down the street, away from the formality of the arena, 1,000 RVs are camped out. People gather to play music all night. And it's the elders who are raising the roof.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from Pembroke Old Time Fiddle Contest on 16 by 9, 2014 edition. Here we go.
There was an expression, I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but there was an expression that said, the song never dies, just the singer. And I think I was pretty young when I realized that the song could die too, if someone was not committed enough to preserve it and to make sure that it stayed alive even after the original singer passed on.
And that is our broadcast for tonight. I'm Carolyn Jarvis. From all of us here at 16 by 9, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
I'm a jolly good fellow, Pat Gregg is my name. I came from the chapeau, that village of fame, for singing and dancing and all other fun. The boys from the chapeau cannot be outdone.
This might be the last place in North America where you'll still find old-time folkloric music. Some might say this is a place that never sold out. Back in the 50s, the dance hall scene was the place to party in the Ottawa.
And finally tonight, it's music that has echoed through a century of Canadian history in logging shanties and dance halls in the Ottawa Valley. Mark Carcasol takes us there to meet some Valley legends who are doing all they can to preserve a unique musical culture.
If you've never visited the Ottawa Valley, you're missing a rockin' good time. The valley runs between Ontario and Quebec. It's a land that's rugged, rural, and wild. The heartbeat of this place is its music. Melodies lilt along, ever drawing you in. It's a style all its own.